Top 5 UFO UAP stories from 2021. I know not all the viewers of this channel are believers in UFOs, but some of you are into it as much as me, and I believe it's really only a matter of time, like soon, that we get the info we need to know the truth. With every passing year, there seems to be more and more evidence coming forward about UFOs, and 2021 was no different. So here's a little compilation of the top 5 UFO UAP stories from 2021. Hope you guys enjoy it. Number 5. Terrell Copeland. To become part of the United States Marines, one has to possess honor and integrity. These should show, either in his actions or words, and this is the reason why it's hard to dismiss Terrell Copeland's story as purely fictitious when he even swore his life on its truth. Copeland was a former U.S. Marine from Suffolk, Virginia. And after his retirement from the force, the 27-year-old had been working as a forklift driver at a local warehouse. His bizarre story began in 2007. He was in his apartment when he saw what he believed to be unidentified flying objects hovering in the sky. In his words, he described the objects to be just a big ball of light. These weird objects didn't seem to move. They were floating 300 feet above the ground and were changing colors very rapidly. "This is not usual. Something's wrong here," he said to himself at the time. So he decided to grab his cell phone and record what he was viewing. He then uploaded the video to YouTube, and the footage of what he thought to be a strange sky anomaly has since garnered massive attention. It was even noticed by the very beings whose existence he intended to expose. The ex-military member said that on the days that followed, he began to feel like there was someone who wanted to reach out to him. One time he woke up because of a sound that came from his apartment door. He called out for the person outside, but no one answered, and yet he could still see the doorknob being rattled. He also heard someone scratching at his door. Instinct dictated him to reach for his firearm on his table, but despite the urge to get up, he couldn't do so. Copeland was basically paralyzed. He said he could only move his eyes, and much to his shock, he heard a voice calling from the outside, telling him that he didn't need the weapon and that they wouldn't harm him. While the incident may resemble that of a phenomena known as sleep paralysis, Copeland's case took a stranger turn when he began to experience what he called missing hours. What happened was he could not seem to account for events that took place at certain hours of his waking time. In an attempt to remember what had occurred, he started keeping notes and sketches of his memory. There he was able to recover what appeared to be the missing episodes of his life. He claimed that he was in a room with a woman whom he described to be not having complete human features. She had an elongated skull with black eyes that startled him. The next thing he knew, he was standing on his balcony watching a cylindrical-shaped ship flying away. Copeland's story was even chronicled on the History Channel, and while many still don't believe it to be true, it somehow changed his life. He suddenly had the desire to become a better person than he was, and to this day, he still claims that what he experienced was very real. Number 4. Maine UFO Hotspot. Maine is definitely one of the most popular and favorite tourist destinations in the entire United States. There's a ton of activities to do in the so-called Pine Tree State. There are beautiful beaches, alluring national parks, iconic lighthouses, and sophisticated museums. And if it suits you, there are even some mind-blowing, otherworldly experiences there in store. The Black Vault, a repository of declassified government documents, recently acquired verified copies of special reports from the CIA. What made these papers different from other official filings is the fact that they focused on the government's investigation of unidentified flying objects reportedly seen not only in the country, but also around the world. The Pentagon officially calls them UAP, or Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. These heaps of verified information are now free for anyone to access via their website. Because of this, a lot of curious individuals and fact-finding institutions have been perusing the 3,500 pages worth of data provided. Some of their observations are absolutely intriguing, and one of these findings might have the possibility to change how we see the northeastern state of Maine. In their review, they said that Maine is in fact a hotspot for UFO sightings. This means that the likelihood of seeing strange flying objects is higher in this part of the country than anywhere else. A compilation of reports reflected at the National UFO Reporting Center index file for Maine indicated York and Cumberland as the places of the most frequent sightings. The data further shows that the occurrences have been on a continual rise since 2018, and it peaked during the early lockdowns of the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the earliest UFO sighting reports was dated back just right after the end of World War II in 1947. It tells the story of a couple who were having lunch near the shore in South Portland when all of a sudden the wife had a weird, overwhelming feeling of being watched. By instinct, she turned her head and looked into the vast blue daytime sky over the sea. There, she saw a huge, dark oval-shaped aircraft hovering up in the sky. As she looked intently towards its direction, the woman then witnessed the strange object she referred to as a flying saucer darting out of her sight, never to be seen again. Meanwhile, one of the latest incidents took place around 11 p.m. in December of 2020 in York Harbor, Maine. The witness said that he was on the porch of his house overlooking the southern Maine coast when a pulsating circular light appeared in the sky. It was already pitch dark, so the blinking light was easy to spot. He first thought it was a star, but then things got bizarre, and he decided to get his phone and capture footage of the anomaly. The blinking light began to move in a vertical motion and remained there for almost an hour. Getting a closer look enabled the unidentified person to compare its appearance to a giant drone. It was hovering the entire time and eventually vanished from sight. The witness decided to share his bewilderment and showed his video recording to others, and they were as baffled as he was. Aside from sightings, the archives also revealed cases of outright alien abduction. In August of '76, 4 men canoeing along the Big Eagle Lake on the Allagash Wilderness Waterway told authorities, and later the public, that they were abducted by extraterrestrial beings. The incident would later be known as the Allagash abductions. The men claimed to have seen a very bright globe of light in the sky hovering close to them. The Allagash 4, as the media called them, said that they were sucked into the light and brought into what they call the interior of a spacecraft. They recall being put to sleep and seeing glimpses of small gray aliens looking over them. They said that the strange beings performed medical examinations on them before ultimately returning them to their canoe. So if you're up for a little fun and possibly seeing a UFO, head to the vacation land that is known as Maine. Number 3. UFO sightings in LA and Pakistan. If there's anything that can bring people from different countries and cultures together, it's probably the unknown. In January of 2021, the social media sphere exploded with news of 2 UFO sightings. These latest sightings were considered to be the clearest yet. The first one was spotted in Los Angeles, California. An eyewitness was taking photos while cruising on the 101 freeway when all of a sudden she noticed something strange hovering in the darkening sky. She immediately snapped images of the unknown flying object with a trail of lights following behind it. She later explained that everything happened so fast. The strange vessel was only visible for a few seconds, but still she managed to take 3 consecutive pictures.
These images show the disc-shaped UFO in different positions of the graying sky. As is always the case, the authenticity of the images was taken with a grain of salt. Internet experts tried to verify if the pictures had been tweaked in Photoshop. However, much to everyone's surprise, they turned out to be real. While the people were still clamoring over that sensational UFO sighting in LA, there was another breaking news story about a bizarre flying vessel floating in the sky. And this time, it was spotted in an entirely other part of the world. A pilot of the Pakistan International Airlines, or PIA, claims to have spotted what he described to be a very shiny, unidentified flying object. The unnamed pilot was operating a regular flight to Lahore from Karachi when he captured a video of the UFO. Sources for a major Pakistani news channel said that the sighting occurred near Rahim Yar Khan, a provincial city in Punjab, Pakistan. In an interview, the pilot said that the circular disc appeared to be extremely bright despite the presence of sunlight. Spotting such an object in such bright daylight is close to impossible. The man further explained that the thing he saw was more of a space station or perhaps an artificial planet hovering near the Earth. In another statement, the pilot said that the UFO seemed to have been built completely out of a shiny metal, with its brilliant light emanating from its center. And the PIA pilot wasn't the only one who witnessed the anomaly in the sky. A lot of residents in Rahim Yar Khan sworn to have seen the shiny disc up above them. Several people even managed to take videos of the phenomenon, which they have since posted online. The mysteries surrounding the UFO sightings in LA and Pakistan, though, have yet to be solved.
Number 2.
Government-leaked UFO photo. The image had first been circulated among top-ranking U.S. defense personnel. It took some time, but in December of 2020, it leaked its way into the public's view and has since been a source of controversy after it was published by journalist Tim McMillian in a media outlet called The Debrief. It is a photo taken from the cockpit of a fighter jet, and it shows a UFO directly in front of them. Officially being called an unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, the object appears near a U.S. fighter pilot who is said to have been flying his F-18 fighter jet over the east coast of the U.S. McMillian in his article revealed that the image had been brought to the attention of several government organizations like the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program and the UAP Task Force. And some reports claim that the photograph reached the tables of some of the highest-ranking members of the U.S. Congress. Officials from these UAP detection agencies have since given their responses regarding the leaked image. In one statement, they said that they, meaning the Department of Defense, do not discuss publicly the details of reports, observations, or examinations of reported incursions into our training ranges or designated airspace. Meanwhile, internet sleuths, armchair detectives, and UFO enthusiasts have been working hard on breaking the mystery behind the photo. After going through intensive digital enhancement, measuring, and comparison, there came out a rather interesting result. Skeptics were quick to point it out that they now believe that the flying object near the fighter jet could actually just be a balloon, a giant Mylar Batman balloon to be exact. Perhaps some little kid on the ground had accidentally let it loose. Yet there were still those who held on to the notion that this isn't just some party decoration or toy that escaped into the air. In fact, someone pointed out that it's impossible for a helium balloon to rise into the altitude as that of an F-18 jet. These fighter jets typically fly around 50,000 feet, while a helium balloon can only go up to a maximum of 20,000 feet before blowing out.
Number 1. Telepathic summoning of UFOs. The purpose of science is to make sense of everything that happens around us. Through research and investigations, scientists and experts can unravel the mysteries of countless phenomena, those things that we thought we couldn't explain. But sometimes even science has its limits, and it may be hard to believe, or maybe not, but there really are some things in this world and in this universe that we have yet to make sense of. This story that you're about to hear is one of them. Robert Bingham, a man from Los Angeles, California, was in his late 30s when he first saw what he described to be a worm-shaped ship about 20 feet tall cruising through the sky. Ever since then, he began to witness unusual objects flying right above him. And these objects looked like flying beans or discs, and he kept all these experiences to himself until one day that he no longer could. In 2010, a neighbor came to do a plumbing job for him. He showed the plumber the photos of the unidentified flying objects that he saw years ago. This piqued the man's interest, and he asked Robert if he could bring his brother along to check out his photos, who was also curious about UFOs. Unknowingly, this would be the beginning of what is now called the Summons Events with Robert Bingham. People from all over the state and sometimes from around the country and abroad would huddle together at Sycamore Grove Park in South Pasadena to marvel at Robert's unusual ability. Now 62, the man straight up believed that he could summon UFOs and interact with them at any time. In a documentary, he even admitted having the capability to connect with ghosts and other supernatural beings, including Bigfoot, though it was the UFOs that he would often interact with. The man, who worked as a security guard at a nearby establishment in the park, went on to demonstrate how he actually did the summoning. In the interview, he said that he would just look right up into the blank blue sky and focus on that particular portion. Then, he would telepathically summon the UFOs. Strangely enough, he would have a throng of people, mostly UFO enthusiasts, around him to witness the phenomena he caused. Some who had been with him countless times were able to quickly pick up his hints and follow along, and new members weren't disregarded either, as the sage would personally guide them in the experience. More than just the UFO sightseeing, this bustling community also serves as a haven for like-minded individuals who love to share their experiences without the fear of being judged. Bingham is aware that he has become an object of public ridicule, and yet he continues to do what he does. He even talked about his claims that the government apparently believed him as well. Believe me, they believe me. That's why they're coming out with this stuff now, Bingham said, referring to the recent findings released by the Pentagon. This report, which was featured here on the channel in Scary Mysteries of the Month of July of 2021, pertains to the declassified 9-page paper made by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and submitted to the U.S. Department of Defense on June 25, 2021. This controversial paper looks into the hundreds of first-hand observations of UFOs. The point here is that the government does recognize the occurrence of these unknown objects zipping through our skies. However, even our brightest minds couldn't exactly figure out the nature of these anomalies. Questions still linger in everybody's minds. Could these objects be the product of secret aerial technologies developed by the military, or are they just naturally occurring atmospheric phenomenon? While we have yet to wait for official confirmation, we can't help but wonder whether they could actually be alien spaceships. There's a lot to speculate on in this matter, but until the answers are definite, Bingham's followers will continue to seek his guidance in interacting with the third kind. So there were the top 5 UFO and UAP stories from 2021. Every day around this world, people are witnessing and capturing some crazy stuff in the skies above. These are just a handful from 2021, but rest assured, there's still many more to come. If you guys like this video, then please subscribe to our channel,
We have 3 new videos coming out every single week for you guys to check out. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you soon.